our free KBLA 1580 app or on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the business is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right.
You're listening and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I am your host, James Farr, sitting in for Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, who is on special assignment as we speak right now in the nation island state of Cuba. Dr. Nii-Quartelai will be bringing us some updates, so you're definitely going to want to stick around in hour two. Before I tell you about today's program, I want to invite you to follow us on social media at KBLA1580.com. And if you'd like to follow me, I'm on all the socials at James Farr Live. And we got a full show today, a whole packed 2 hours. I'm so grateful that Dr. Nii-Quartelai has allowed me to share the space with you, with all his leaders, listeners, and learners. I'm one of them too. He's one of my favorite shows that I tune into right here on KBLA. I host Conversation Live Altadena Rising on Saturdays at 10 a.m. That's a whole lot and enough about me and why I'm here. And we got, again, a whole lot to talk about. In our second hour, Darren Henson is going to join us. Very talented actor, choreographer. I could go on and on reading his credits, which include Soul Food, which includes choreography for NSYNC. He has a new book that's out, and we want to talk about that in our second hour. Also, you'll hear from Dr. Nii-Quartelai from Havana in the second hour, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And in our first hour, we have he's no stranger to the program. He's a regular contributor here. He's a tech consultant. His brother is like beyond smart in terms of understanding all things digital, all things data, all things tech. And I'm gonna try to make some sense out of some of the things that perhaps people will or are experiencing over in Cuba right now. Just kind of bring his expertise. He's a veteran, former Marine. You know him very well because he's here all the time. Jamar Reed, he's going to be joining us when we come forward after the break. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. And so now we'll definitely want to get into the news headlines. As Dr. Nii-Quartelai says, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we want to, we're going to set this up kind of in this space of in Cuba, right? And right now in Cuba, there's a deepening energy crisis. It's forcing residents to return to cooking with charcoal, folks, wood. makeshift fires inside apartment tower buildings as fuel shortages and rolling blackouts spread across the entire island. And this is according to a New York Times article. What's out today? I mean, it's a deep dive. I mean, at least a 6,000 word read, but it's a growing humanitarian crisis is unfolding in Cuba, where widespread fuel shortages, prolonged blackouts, they're reshaping daily life for millions. And that's one of the things when we talk with Dr. Nii-Quartelai, we want to hear what those updates are. And he's on the ground with folks in Cuba, residents in Santiago de Cuba, the country's second largest city and most historic center of the Cuban Revolution, are now cooking meals on stoves with wood, with charcoal. Some are even having to use paper and other things to combust these to get fire. It's creating breathing issues for many residents. I mean, just imagine the toxic air that is just permeating in folks' homes and apartments. The report describes families living in 18-story apartment towers without reliable electricity, elevators, or fuel. In some parts of the country, blackouts are lasting as long as 20 hours. One resident, a 50-year-old woman with asthma, told a reporter she now cooks spaghetti over charcoal fire. I mean, I just can't imagine that. Inside of her apartment because she has no alternative. Others are describing waking up in the middle of the night whenever the electricity briefly returns. So just so they can charge up their electronic devices, possibly wash some clothes, catch whatever they can hear if news broadcasts are happening. The report also highlights unequal burden of the crisis. Santiago, a predominantly Afro-Cuban city, told y'all Dr. Nii-Quartelai is there talking with the people, an Afro-Cuban community, and just how the disparity and the lack of investment or the divestment, the remittance of less private than other things that are happening in Havana. And so for many residents, political debate over who is responsible has become secondary to daily survival. Finding food, transportation, and a few hours of electricity have been what folks have been spending the majority of their time as they deal with a crisis that was brought on by the Trump administration. Speaking of the Trump administration, the DOJ has announced an indictment of former President Castro. We'll talk more about that when we come forward. Jamar Reed is in the seat. Want to talk with him. We'll keep this conversation going about Havana, get inside of his head and understand what some of the challenges are inside of some of that technical thing. And then one thing I want to definitely ask him, he's a military veteran, he's a Marine, and we do appreciate, I don't say that often enough to veterans, but I do appreciate his service and looking forward to this conversation. But I got to ask him, what does it look like if the United States military activates like they did in Venezuela and drag a 94-year-old man out of his home? Stay with us only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-242-1551. That's 800-242-1551. 800-242-1551.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it!
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God!
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Hit me! National News, The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening and streaming A More Perfect Union right here on KBLA Talk 1580. I am James Farr, sitting in for the good Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, who is on assignment in Havana, Cuba, as we speak. In our second hour, we will certainly hear from Dr. Nii-Quartelai. He is a doctor without borders in this case. And I know that initial shock when you hear or perhaps walk into that visiting room and you don't recognize the doctor that you normally are in conversation or consultation with. But don't worry, everybody relax. I got you. I'm going to guide us through this. Now, I do code switch from time to time and talk in cursive. So, it won't perhaps not be as scholarly, but what the good doctor did do is leave me with his best and brightest leaders, listeners, and the like as guests this week. So I don't have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. And right now I am joined with by the good brother Jamar Reed, who is a data and tech consultant and analysis. He is a retired United States Marine, a veteran, and we salute and thank him for his service. Something I don't say quite enough. Brother Reed, welcome, as always, to A More Perfect Union.
Brother Farr, it's great to be with you. I'm looking forward to being in discussion with you in conversation. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I listen in as you've been hosting other shows and hosting your own. So I'm looking forward to this discussion here.
Absolutely, brother. I had to cash app you. Thank you for all of that. Doc is away right now, and he's in Cuba, and I thought this would be a a good opportunity to kind of tap into your wheelhouse, your subject expertise and data and tech, and and just be curious right now and pick your brain. But before we get into more of that, I want to tap into the service part, the military part. The Department of Justice has announced an indictment, former President Castro, Fidel's brother. We possibly could be looking at what happened in Venezuela with Maduro, right? I mean, there is an outside chance, although we put nothing past this administration, right, that they may go in and seize him, capture him, remove him physically. In your experience, what does I guess a mission like that look like? I'm trying to wrap my head around a team, parachuting in, roping down, and grabbing a 94-year-old man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brother James, you know what? I'm thinking about that, and I think about the fact that it's another case of the United States bullying our neighbors and basically, using the threat of violence in order to bring in. I have my grandfather's 96 years old, and I couldn't imagine sending the military in to capture a 94-year-old man that was a leader in his nation after watching it being done in Venezuela. And make no mistake about it, what happened in Venezuela was not just a message for the Venezuelans, but it was a message for those in this hemisphere that we will come in and we will by force snatch folks and I say we loosely, those in our government.
I'm trying to figure out which we you talking about, because
right.
That W inverted is an M, and that ain't me, brother. But go.
There you go. I'm with you. But the United States will come in and with force come in and pull folks out of their country and bring them to the justice here in the United States, bypassing those that in some cases have elected those folks. And they're and those are the leaders that they put in place. And then in some cases, it's a domestic situation. It is between the people of that nation and their leader. And again, I think it's a situation of bullying our neighbors and basically and letting them know that we will do what we want. Again, loosely. The United States will do what the United States wants, and it's in the hemisphere that they are claiming as their hemisphere.
Does the military prepare any differently because of his elderly status, or would they still treat him as, I guess, an enemy combatant, a suspect? I mean, I just can't wrap my head around. Do they do that with the gurney, the IV? I mean, is he allowed to go with a nurse or a care attendant? It seems so inhumane.
I agree with you. I mean, I'd imagine that the goal is to apply pressure, which they are doing at the moment, and you just reported on that, the amount of pressure that's being applied in order to get the folks of the nation to be less, to push back less under pain of, doing without and being in a difficult situation. I imagine that it's the applying of pressure, and that's what we're seeing today. So,
well, would Cuba be watching? Their leadership be watching like where U.S. military assets are right now? I mean, there's a lot happening in the Strait of Hormuz and over in Iran and just in the Middle East in general. And I mean, so do you think the Cuban government or people are taking this serious? And wait for it, I want to go there because I'm concerned about this digital divide. So I'm trying to understand, would the Cuban people actually believe that the threat of this actually happening as they watched in their neighboring country, Venezuela, are they seeing the same thing we're seeing? All our guys and troops and assets are halfway around the world.
I guess it depends, it depends. And I was reading the article, the New York Times article, and it's interesting that on one hand you have the Cuban government that is, it's filtering white labeling or filtering the data and the information that's coming through on the Cuban side. But then you have the United States and public organizations offering to come in, and I think it allows Starlink to be utilized, where the United States would filter the information. So you're getting a place. So what information do you trust and believe, and where are you getting your information? Are you able to bypass what's being filtered on both sides in order to come to a conclusion on your own? I couldn't imagine being, and I guess in some cases we're also in that space, and in some cases where you're being forced to make a choice around what information is coming in. You're getting information from everywhere, and it's filtered, it's curated in order to, I guess, change your belief in the direction of, of those who want to influence your thought. So I imagine it's difficult, to understand what am I receiving, what information am I receiving, and then how am I processing that, and how am I making use of that? So,
many certainly in America think of Cuba as a third world country, and perhaps I have never visited, so I can't speak from first person witness or observation. But what we see and witness through perhaps media and television, and understanding these these old Chevrolets, these kind of older cars, and so we tend to think, right, foolishly perhaps, that the Cuban people aren't as advanced with technology. And I got 3 cell phones sitting here and a laptop on my desk and chargers, right? All of the things, right? So can you speak to us, tell us more about perhaps what technology do the Cuban people have? And because I'm one to think that they are very much still in the Stone Ages.
I mean, and I don't have direct knowledge, but from what I understand, you have this younger demographic, this younger group. Young folks are going to find ways in order to advance technology and use it to get the information that they need. And you have this, I guess, budding group of young tech techies. I guess I'll call them young techies that are finding ways to VPN and find ways around these I guess walls of information where folks want to filter what's coming in.
I don't want to do shorthand before our leaders, listeners, and learners, right? Like,
you put me on the spot, and I don't have the acronym, but I'm gonna tell you, VPN allows you to bypass.
It's much more secure, right? Or
exactly, but it also allows you to bypass what's being served to you in order to, so that you're not showing that you're in the local area, and that way the Cuban government is able to suppress what's coming in or filter what's coming in. So you have young folks that are finding ways
able to trick their location and then access outside of perhaps this bubble that the local government may have put in place. So thinking about the energy and the power being out, what kind of effect does that have on like right now, all the talk in the stateside is data centers and AI and energy usage. Is there any long-term perhaps effects as a result of this energy crisis? Do they stand to, I would imagine medicine would spoil, or perishable things are going to go. How does that look in a data tech space?
Yeah, what I understand, I mean, something that's heartbreaking is that the youngest among them are the ones that are suffering the most, the youngest and the elders. From my readings, the hospitals are suffering because they're also being held to these blackouts. If there are no generators, which my understanding is that the generators tend to be in the non-Afro-Cuban areas. So those that are suffering first and suffering the most are the young children that are in the hospital, that are brand new to the world. And then the elderly folks that are having to deal with as we head into summer, to deal with the heat, which, and to not have the comforts of air conditioning and also power. And like you said, you have folks that are cooking their meals in towers using coal and wood, So, I mean, I would say that those that are the most vulnerable are suffering the most. And again, and to what you mentioned, again, those on the Afro-Cuban side, the eastern coast of Cuba, and that's the thing that's heartbreaking to me. And those that are sick, I think that there's a I can't remember the stat, but there's a high percentage of folks that are reliant on medications that they're not able to gain access to or refrigerate in order to make accessible to those that need those medications. So heartbreaking, you know.
We are talking with Jamar Reed, who is a data analyst, tech subject expert, consultant, a regular contributor right here on A More Perfect Union, KBLA Talk 1580. I'm James Farr. I'm sitting in for the good Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. He's on assignment in the very place that Brother Reed and I are discussing the nation island of Cuba, and they are very much like many other places in the world, just being crushed by this absolutely unnecessary war that is taking place thousands of miles away in Iran, that has many of our assets, military assets, and possibly the threat of our men and women actually having to put boots on the ground if they are called up. I heard somewhere, Brother Reed, that they say you can't win a war simply through the air. And so when we keep hearing this idea that there are compromises, there are proposals, there are deals, I'm just not so convinced, right? I'm not a military expert strategist nor a historian, but I do know enough to know that I don't trust anything that comes out of this administration's mouth. When we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation. I want to ask Brother Reed, that's Jamar Reed, who is kind of helping me understand and helping us all, leaders, learners, and listeners, understand this data and tech space. And I kind of want to know what's at stake. You know, I don't know. The cloud is the cloud, right? But I mean, this is catastrophic what's happening. I don't, we get itchy if we don't have our devices and access to our information. Stay with us. We'll continue this conversation when we come forward. James Farr in for Nii-Quartelai Quartey on A More Perfect Union. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Pope Leo is calling for human dignity to be protected in the age of artificial intelligence,
but constantly keep the question of the human in play.
In his first encyclical presented Monday at the Vatican, the first U.S.-born pontiff warned that AI and other technologies could fuel global conflicts. South Carolina senators are blocking a new congressional map ahead of this year's elections. A motion to end debate failed Tuesday, stopping the Republican-backed plan before the midterms. Republican Senator Richard Cash said he could not support it because voting had already started and absentee ballots were already sent out. And Kehlani is heading back on tour. The Grammy-winning singer announced the Kehlani World Tour Tuesday with 33 dates across North America. The tour starts August 6th in Minneapolis and wraps October 3rd in San Francisco. Tickets go on sale May 29th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A lot of people are calling it the best playoff run in NBA history. You can make a good case for the New York Knicks after they swept Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks have won 11 straight playoff games and have suddenly become a potential favorite to win the NBA championship. Knicks fans in Los Angeles are rejoicing over their team making it to the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. The Knicks will have plenty of time to rest and prepare for the finals, which tip off June 3rd. The Western Conference Finals will go at least 6 games. San Antonio and Oklahoma City are tied at 2-2. Game 5 is tonight in OKC. Congratulations to the baseball team at HBCU Alabama State. Alabama State won the SWAC conference title Monday with an 8-6 win over Florida A&M. The victory gives Alabama State an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every day on KBLA Talk 1580, it's like a live town hall meeting over the airwaves. Politics, culture, community, justice, nothing is off the table. We take more listener calls, spark more honest conversations, and challenge more assumptions than any talk station in Southern California. Because good ideas matter more than ideology. KBLA Talk 1580, your station, your voice, your city. Listen live at KBLA 1580 AM on our free KBLA 1580 app or on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhoods safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by Re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
That's right. You're getting back to a more perfect union right here on KBLA Talk 1580. And I think you figured out by now that I am not the good doctor, Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I am James Farr, and I'm sitting in this week for Dr. Quartey while he is on assignment in Havana, Cuba, with an emergency fact-finding delegation, a very high-profile delegation. He'll be on the ground, and you want to make sure that you stick around with us for hour two. We will hear from Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, but right now I am joined by the good brother Jamar Reed, who is a data and tech expert and consultant, and we're making our way around. At least he's helping me anyway, understand a little bit more. We're talking about what's happening in Cuba, this energy crisis and this humanitarian crisis that is rapidly getting worse and worse. And if worser were a word, it would be the worstest, right? It continues to go very bad for people. They're living in some horrible conditions, all because we have a president and an administration that think they are playing with toy soldiers, monopoly money, and a board game called life. And there's actually real people. Brother Reed, I had this question because we're understanding what data and just this tech space, brother. And I appreciate you being here with me and indulging me. What's at stake? You know, when we think of data, right? I mean, you and I are both old enough to remember life before even a floppy disk, and now we exist in a cloud, right? And so we need everything and don't know passwords. We don't know where to find things. And I mean, it's
right.
It's a whole lot. So I'm trying to, what's at stake for the people in Cuba in the midst of this? And I'm not talking about someone's personal iCloud and kind of those, while they are very important, but from an institutional infrastructure standpoint, what's at risk?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question as we went into break, and one thing that my father always said to me, and as he reminded me going to school, remember that knowledge is power, and what feeds into knowledge is information. And what we've moved into this new space is that in modern warfare, and not just modern warfare, but in warfare period, there's always been the battle for information, the battle for knowledge, the battle for the ability to communicate, with those that your adversaries and those and those on your side. And what we're seeing here is that this is a continued, this is the ability for one nation to apply pressure on another nation through, the ability to cut off information, the ability to filter what you receive and how you receive it. But one thing about it, as I think about Black folks and staying close to, our elders and those in our community, one thing we need to be able to do is to be able to fall back and go back to remember, to, like you were just saying, there was a time before that you and I remember when floppy disks were the new thing, and we had to find a way to get information. And I think that's the thing that, I would imagine that's what's going on in Cuba, as you don't have access to the ability to log into Wi-Fi. We have not forgotten how to communicate with each other and how to get information out. I mean,
and I guess, and I don't want to be the doomsday theorist,
please.
Right? And I'm not a prepper, right? I'm not from that ilk. I'm smart enough to just go to my neighbor's house if I'm lucky. If we meet that moment, he's a scientist. But we again, this kind of goes back to that cloud space, right? Again, we're told to write down our passwords, right? Yeah. And I kind of just think about this from America, right? I mean, just here locally over the weekend, 50,000 people were displaced from their homes because of chemical spill, possible explosion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've just went through some fires here in Los Angeles last year, in Altadena area, thousands of people displaced and things lost and gone. Right. So I keep thinking about this from, as best I can to help our leaders, listeners and learners kind of understand that perspective of what this could be like in America. But so, thinking about what they're losing, right? The access, the infrastructure, the redundancies, right? Like, where do normal people like us, not like you, you're a tech data expert, right? That's your business, right? So I hope you have the solutions, but what does a country do, right? When everything is shut down and you can't power it up. I was lost this morning because I couldn't find my phone.
You know what? One thing I'm hoping that the country does is the country has backup plans. And another old saying, and I'm full of them.
What would that look like? See, right now, the state of our nation, this union here, right? And this, I'm not making light of what our brothers and sisters in Cuba are experiencing, right? But what? Because I'm my confidence is waning on government. I've learned hard and fast that we must keep ourselves safe. We have to be protectors of our own community. But if I can't pick up the phone and call you, Brother Reed, if I can't text you, if our now contemporary ways of staying in touch with each other have all of a sudden been wiped out, now we're in trouble. So I guess, what can you and I, or what can normal people like me do, right? What can the leaders, listeners, and learners do if we were to experience something like this, God forbid, right? What could we do to shore up our data and make sure that we have all of those things in place so that we're not in that crisis?
Hey, I'm remembering, hey, protect yourself at all times. You have to make sure that, like for me, I believe in redundancy. I don't have everything in the cloud and it's just in the cloud. I'm going to have some paper documents. I'm going to have the ability to restart, some of the important documents that may be in the cloud. I'm not quite there yet where I want to put everything there. And it used to be a space where you could trust the government to protect its citizens. And as you were saying earlier, I mean, I'm with you. I'm not quite sure that that's a space that we're in right now. I mean, there's that saying, if you give a man the power to feed you, you've also given him the power to starve you. So if you're going to give him all the keys to all of the information, and you're not retaining some of that yourself to where you can actually put hands on it, I would advise against that.
Yeah, I was reading, one suggestion was to since we're typing everything out now anyway, right? The handwriting doesn't, but to go ahead and print out some of that information and laminate it and then put it somewhere in a secure place. And what I was told is, even, because we kind of have these emergency emails, you don't want to put everything, I hear what you're saying, put everything in one basket in one place, but that kind of default, that emergency email that you can use across platforms to gain access back into into your accounts. Wow, this is tough. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying we're joined by Jamar Reed, who is a data and tech analyst and a consultant, and a whole heck of a lot smarter than us simpletons like myself. But I'm appreciative that you're kind of helping me navigate what people are experiencing on the ground. We're going to hear from Dr. Nii-Quartelai in hour 2. We're going to continue this conversation, Brother Reed, when we come forward. That's Jamar Reed joining me. I'm James Farr. I am in for Dr. Nii-Quartelai. This is a more perfect union, and we got a lot to talk about.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
Don't wait until Election Day to vote. You have several easy, convenient options to make your voice heard. Vote early at any of the official ballot drop boxes or vote in person. Visit plan.lavote.gov to learn more. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhood safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by Re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
Javier Becerra isn't new to the fight for progress. In Congress, he helped write and pass Obamacare. As Attorney General, he sued Trump over 120 times and won. As Secretary of Health, Becerra took on special interests and lowered drug costs. Endorsed by Planned Parenthood and nurses, Javier Becerra is the fighter we need and the leader we can trust to tackle California's affordability crisis, build more affordable housing, and stop Trump when he violates our civil rights. Ad paid for by Becerra for Governor 2026.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
And you're listening and streaming A More Perfect Union. I am James Farr. I am sitting in for Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, who is on assignment in Havana, Cuba, y'all. He is on the ground as we speak, and we're going to hear from him coming up in the next hour, top of the hour. But right now, I am joined by a regular contributor right here on A More Perfect Union. He's a data and tech expert and consultant, and so far a good brother. You know, I think we're doing all right. But more importantly, and well, I won't put the priority on it. Forgive me for asserting what I think is more important. But he has served our country as a U.S. Marine, and for that we are grateful. I'm particular. I don't say that enough, so let me say that again. You were helping me understand some of the perhaps the challenges that folks are experiencing, but I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit because, you know, next Tuesday here in our great state of California is the last chance for folks to go into the polls and strike that vote for whomever their candidate of choice is. We've been asked on air not to endorse anyone, so I'm not going to do that. But I know there's a lot of concern about, you know, polling places, and Lord, I know I don't even have enough time to even open up what I'm going to open up, but I'm going to ask it in the most simplest of lay terms, because you're smarter than me, and I'm bold enough to ask the question: can elections be electronically manipulated?
And I'm gonna start with saying that I came here to be in conversation with a brother that understands a whole lot more about the political space than me. But I'm gonna say, with regard to technology, if it is online, I believe that it can be tampered with. Mm-hmm. And so but I don't put that out there in order to cause anyone to have second, doubts about casting their vote. Mm-hmm. We have to show up. We have to make sure that our voices are heard. But we're in a time where people are actively in many ways looking to reduce the vote of the people of the United States. So we have to be on guard about that. With regard to technology, with regard to paper ballots, with regard to any way, as we see as we watch the news today, there are folks that are not interested in making sure that everyone has their voices heard. So we have to be on guard. Yeah.
Geofencing, is that an area in your wheelhouse?
It is something I spend a lot of time working in. Yes, sir.
Can you quickly explain I had someone ask me this, how is it that I can get one ad and the neighbor across the street gets an ad for the same candidate, but entirely different messaging? What are they listening to us? What's happening there?
They are employing many different forms of technology, geofencing being one of them. As they start to draw up these new districts all across the United States, there is the ability in order to apply a box and say, hey, within this box, I want folks to receive this message. But there's also, we're feeding the algorithm information every day. And that information is being used in order to create data models that basically are looking to say, hey, how will this group respond to this message delivered in this way? I mean, technology is being used all throughout, and geofencing being one of those. I'd imagine it's being used especially as they draw new districts around communities and looking to land messages that hit within different communities and different groups.
And our final few minutes with the good brother Jamar Reed. I what I do, brother, on my show is I tend to talk out loud, and while I'm thinking about my thoughts, and then talk in cursive. Dr. Nii-Quartelai, he calls it saying the quiet part out loud, right? And I think about our brothers and sisters, who are in Cuba, who are really a part of our diaspora. They are us, and we are them. Many of our ancestors, perhaps, tracked through the very beautiful shores and sand of Cuba and its neighboring Caribbean islands. Yes. Maintaining solidarity for them, which is why I'm so excited to hear what Dr. Nii-Quartelai report will bring back for us. But in our final minutes, how are you sustaining your hope? What hope do you have for us as a community and our brothers and sisters over in Cuba?
Yeah, I mean, and just a reminder of always that question that we ask ourselves: who are we to each other? That's right. And those are our brothers and sisters, just landed on a different beach, and came to this hemisphere, and happened to be put in a different space. But one thing that, like as I was saying before, one thing that we hopefully we never forget is how to tap into our ancestors and how to tap into our elders to remember, no matter what technology is available or what technology is removed in order to press us to make certain decisions. So the big thing that I would call out is, as long as we are in connection, we won't forget. And I think, and as long as we don't forget, we will be prepared. And my prayers are that the brothers and sisters down in Cuba remain safe, and that they remain with the ability to make the decisions that are best for their friends and family and community down there. So
how can people reach you if they want to learn a little bit more, but really get into, I would say, data mine your mind, right? How do folks get in touch with you?
I'll say it real quick, www.districtanalyst.com. I tie history and data science together because I think that, we have to look back in order to understand where we're going forward. And that's what data science and history, they connect and they align. So reach me on the web, reach me at g.reed on IG and all the social platforms.
Brother Reed, Brother Jamar Reed, thank you so much, man. I almost enjoyed talking to you as much as I enjoy listening to you and Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Hey, brother, we'll talk again. When we come forward, we'll hear from Dr. Nii-Quartelai in Havana, Cuba. Darren DeWitt Henson, he joins us too. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Pope Leo is calling for human dignity to be protected in the age of artificial intelligence,
but constantly keep the question of the human in play.
In his first encyclical presented Monday at the Vatican, the first U.S.-born pontiff warned that AI and other technologies could fuel global conflicts. South Carolina senators are blocking a new congressional map ahead of this year's elections. A motion to end debate failed Tuesday, stopping the Republican-backed plan before the midterms. Republican Senator Richard Cash said he could not